Hello and welcome to another week of To the Final Bell, the official Geelong Cats podcast brought to you by Panther Tyres. Wonderful support of Panther Tyres throughout this entire season, a season that is only one game in, and we've had the big pause that we all know about, but Panther Tyres have stuck with us. So if you do need anything to do with your car, certainly any tyres, go out and see the guys at Panther Tyres. They're wonderful supporters of this podcast. We've got a terrific podcast coming up. We're going to be chatting with, well, I argue with this bloke about who the real mayor of Geelong is. They claim it's Billy Brownless. I think he's the king of Geelong, Sandy Roberts said after he nailed that goal in the 94 qualifying final. So he could be the king. Billy Brownless is going to join us a little bit later on. And so is Jordan Clark, who I'm starting to understand is one of Mathew Stokes' absolute favourite players to come to the Cats. We'll get to your questions as we always do. Hopefully we'll have a heap of fun and take your mind off whatever it is that you're up to. But as I am every single week now, I am joined by Scotty Gullan and Matty Stokes. Gentlemen, great to talk to you and see you both again today.
Good to be here, Cameron.
You're rocking a New York Knicks hat at the moment, Scotty. Stokesy's rocking the Boston Celtics hat. Fair to say, Scotty, Stokesy's got you covered by a mile there. Knicks are garbage, and the Celtics
there is a reason, Cameron. I'm actually a Celtics man. I should have gone and get that hat. But I was in New York over Christmas and went and saw a few Knicks games, and they were horrible. That's why I could get a good seat. And so I had to get a bit of action to show my love. But, yeah, they're in a bit of trouble. And they trade away.
Let's be honest, Scotty. You got it for free. That's why you're wearing it.
Virtually, Stoker. Virtually. But nothing better than going to Madison Square Garden just for a few hours to escape. A bit of NBA. It was good fun.
We would be quite happy with some NBA now. Any live sport would be nice right now. Footy mid-July, maybe, Scotty? Is
my theory about the NRL, Cameron, if they pull off this ridiculous May 28, which...
Ridiculous is the right word.
But Peter V'landys, he's a lunatic. You never know. I mean, he makes stuff happen. He's done it in racing. He's very gung-ho. He claims... I think they've got to get all the teams in New South Wales, but if they can put the Storm in Albury and get the Queensland team somewhere else, he claims he can pull it off. So the AFL is saying, that won't impact on us. Well, it will, because if the country's watching a national sporting code operating, I think that'll fast-track the AFL maybe, up a month or so, June, July, probably July to play.
But isn't it perfect for the AFL to sit back and just watch NRL making more of a mess?
I agree with that.
And we can learn exactly from what they do wrong. We can learn from it, and we don't have to make the same mistakes.
Well, I think what everyone is understanding is crowds won't be involved for a long time yet. So I think it's all just focused on players, like round one was. It was weird, but we'll probably have to get used to it and just getting them out there. I think teams are getting their heads around, 3 weeks maybe before you play, and we'll just see what happens. John Longmire said increased bench, boys. That has to happen, doesn't it? Surely.
If there's games every 3 or 4 days for teams, then yes, I would say that increased bench would have to happen. I'm a huge believer that the season, to be a genuine season and to be a meaningful season, every team has to play each other once. Anything less than that, to me, doesn't make for... So if there's... Everyone plays each other once. There's finals. It's a genuine grand final. Yes, we will refer to this as the strange season, the coronavirus season, but there's no asterisks for me there. If everyone's played every other team once and is proven to be the best team. Anything less than that, though, I think then it does have one, and it's not a meaningful season.
Well, I think the AFL are making noises. I think they're not joking about December, so they think they'll get enough time in. With like you said, Stokesy playing Monday, probably playing every night of the week, really, and then teams having 3-4 day breaks in there.
Well, let's hope that does take place, and I'm hoping it is around July. I don't want them to rush it because I think the NRL are rushing it, but that's just my opinion. I hope you guys had a good Easter. I'm sure the Easter Bunny would have come to you too because you're such good people. And to all of our listeners out there, happy Easter. But Stokesy, you know what it made me think? When we got to Easter Monday, it made me a little sad that we weren't sitting back to watch another classic Geelong Hawthorn Easter Monday clash. And I thought maybe we just take this opportunity to reminisce a little bit about some of those incredible Geelong Hawthorn games. We won't touch on the 2008 grand final too much, but post 2008 grand final, the games that were played between the Cats and the Hawks during an incredible period where both teams were right up the pointy end of the ladder, and every game just swung from one team leading by 20 or 30 to the other team leading, and more often than not were decided by under 10 points. Gee, we played in some phenomenal games, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just even looking at some of the content that's been on the websites and all the social media platforms, it was incredible to sort of look back on what we were able to do with those guys. I mean, there was a genuine hatred though, like, to be honest, like utmost respect for Hawthorn and some of the guys off field, like Strats and, Hodgie and these type of guys I know pretty well, and Birch, great fellas, but on the field, I didn't hate anyone more than I hated those guys. And I loved playing against them. The feel was so much different. I thought it was even it went up a little bit of a level on the finals, to be honest, when we played Hawthorn. But geez, you put up sore for a couple of days afterwards. I don't know whether it was that or because you couldn't eat Easter eggs for the Saturday, Sunday. You just went to town on Monday night. So they were amazing games, and something that you look back over the last weekend that just passed us and watch some of the highlights. They're pretty special.
Well, give me your top couple, boys. So we had Tomahawk, didn't we? And Jimmy Bartell. They've kicked winning points or goals.
So Hawkey wasn't a.
That wasn't Easter Monday.
So both of those games weren't Easter Mondays, but let's include them.
There you go. How am I going?
Round 19, 2012 was the Hawk, the famous one after the siren.
Against Hawthorn, though. I got that Hawthorn,
right, didn't I? But that was one of the most remarkable games. The Cats destroyed them early, and then they just pegged it back bit by bit. And Hawks should have won that one, but for that remarkable last passage of play. And Jimmy's was round 17, 2009, the point after the siren.
If you rewatch that too, there was a block that was put on for Jimmy to take a mark, and a lot of people forget
who that person was.
Who that little person put his body on the line, so Jimmy Bartell can do what he does best and take an uncontested mark,
kick a point.
Well, give me your best Easter Monday now that I've done my research and got those two out of the way.
Well, I was blown away. So I did a quick bit of research. I try to do something for this
That's
podcast.
why you're here, Cameron. Me and Stokes
exactly.
entertainment.
Exactly right.
So round 1, 2009, the first time after the 08 granny, Cats win it by 8 points. Again, the run of these games, by the way, is ridiculous. So here, I hope I don't bore people. Widest margin, Geelong by 43 points at one stage in that game. We win it by 8 points. We move on to round 17, 2009, which is the Jimmy Bartell one. Hawthorn were leading by 28 points at one stage. The Cats win it by 1 point. Round 2, 2010, an Easter Monday game. Hawthorn leading by 24 points. Cats win it by 9 points. Round 15 that year, Hawthorn leading by 13 points. The Cats win it by 2 points. Round 5, Easter Monday, Hawthorn leading by 26. Cats win it by 19. Flip to 2011, later on that year. Geelong by 20, they win it by 5 points. Qualifying final, Geelong by 31. And then the two games in 2012 were both decided by 2 points. So our margins are 2 points, 31, 5, 19, 2, 9, 1, 8. During that period. It's ridiculous.
What was it? Evenly matched? Both teams full of stars?
Evenly matched. We could both score.
Yeah.
I won't go through the scores, but we're always kicking 100 points, both teams, really. Maybe some in the 90s. I remember a game, Stokes, I can't remember exactly which one it was, but Buddy just destroyed the first 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah,
I reckon it kicked 3 and maybe set up 1. And I started thinking to myself, walking back to the centre, what's just happened? We're going to lose this game by 185 points. These guys are freaks. And then we got rolling a little bit, and then I kind of realised, hang on a second, I'm also playing with some freaks. So I think we'll be okay.
Yep.
There was that belief when you look around, you go, no, I reckon we've got a pretty good group of guys here. We can come back from this.
I think we were pretty good on the lip. I think majority of the time we could go with the best of them with the lips, but I reckon the most dangerous was when we were down and it went quiet. That's when I was always quite comfortable and confident we'd be able to come back. When boys started to not start to yap, not talk, and you could see it in their eyes, it started to twinkle. That's when I knew that we'd be back, we'd be right. So I always loved those games because they did always get a bit of a jump on us majority of the time. And then the guy that missed out, the two guys on the top 20 list that Scott Gullan missed out last week, would go to Buddy, cut him out, and then we'd get rolling.
Is that the list where I mentioned a plump full forward who I've received more criticism about on a rival radio station, Cameron?
Oh, yes. I did unleash on you on
I did see that.
About the term plump.
On Twitter.
Adam Ramanauskas and Alistair Nicholson absolutely loved the use of the term plump.
Thank you. Thank you.
They thought you were the best journalist going around, Scotty.
They know the truth. Now, was there something about you guys knowing, you've waited all weekend, there's 80,000, everyone watching on TV, like it was, I don't know, it's not, you didn't play Anzac Day, but is it finals, closest thing to finals, obviously?
Yeah, probably. I agree with what Stokes said at times. I mean, you're playing some finals which are just brutal, close games, and they are true finals. Other finals, you might just get on top of a team and you go away from them. And these Hawthorn games felt more like a final than some finals did.
And it's early in the season, so you're fit, you know what I mean? You still got that
and you got
in your legs and stuff.
Sometimes you've got a couple of games under your belt where you've got all those nerves out of the way. Yeah. One or two of them were opening round or two. The lowest crowd was, I think, 63,000 to any of those games. So you knew you were coming to a pretty heaving MCG. And I don't know, all of our guys, and certainly me, I loved the feeling of testing yourself against the best. And the Hawks, during that period, may not have been, I mean, St Kilda and Collingwood were the other two teams during that period. But Hawthorn were the other ones that they just felt like the best as well. There was a group of probably four of us during that time.
100%.
And if you could handle what they threw at us, it was pretty pleasing at the end of the day walking off the ground.
Absolutely. I mean, I think just that common, the respect that we had for each other for the two sides. I mean, loaded with superstars. But being able to come off the ground, like you said, Ling, and just know that you just go on hammer and tongs at each other for an hour and 20 minutes, and majority of the time we did come away with the win. It was nothing better than the drive home was satisfying.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. That Tom Hawkins goal one, 2012. I was retired. I didn't work that night. That was one of the few games I've been able to sit back in the stands, a couple of beers in hand, and really just enjoy a phenomenal game of footy. And I was hugging people I didn't even know when Hawk kicked that goal and jumping around. I was a full crazy supporter. That was a brilliant night, that one. We better move on to a couple of fan questions because on our little setup here, our Zoom screens, I did just see a man named Billy Brownless just pop up briefly. He's disappeared again for a second.
Disappeared. I like his angle he was working.
We're going to get Billy Brownless on in just a second, but just to answer a couple of your questions before we do take a break. Some questions have been coming through, so thank you on Facebook, Twitter, email, via the website. Please keep them coming in.
Any hair colour questions today, Cameron?
Oh, no, haven't I copped it about that too? Peanuts. And everyone thought I threw Nicole under the bus by blaming her for getting the blonde in my hair.
Which you did.
Yeah, bad luck. That's what a loving relationship's for. Just blame the other person. First question from, I'm assuming it says Matt, D-O-R-E, Matt, 92. Was Joel close to becoming captain in 2010 when I took over?
Wow. I think there's a little inference there, Cameron.
Should have got Joel up there earlier. No, the feel was...
He was about 18 at that point, wasn't he? Or 15 years old or something?
He would have been...
20 if you're lucky.
21 maybe. I think we all felt that Joel was captain one day and was fast becoming a captain, but we had a conversation around who should and what should it look like and everything like that. I was extremely honoured, but also gave me great self-belief to go forward with the role that it was pretty unanimous, especially amongst the leadership group and the coaches, that they wanted me to take the role. But also as part of that was to help, and we all used to do it, but to groom the next generation of leaders. And Joel was certainly at the head of that. So whether I was captain for 2 years like I was or 3 years, it was with the idea that Joel would probably follow suit after that. Is that the way you saw it, Stokesy, or you wanted Joel straight away and you didn't want stuff like getting in the way?
Nah, I definitely wanted you as my captain, Cameron. Definitely.
Oh, so you can say some nice things occasionally, Stokesy. That's beautiful.
I had a good night's sleep last night. So I'm happy.
Happy Stokesy, I love it.
DTruan14 on the Twitter or Instagram or Facebook. I got no idea. Who do you reckon out of our Geelong young players will be a superstar in the next 5 to 10 years? Stokesy, is that the man who we will be chatting to a little bit later on?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. He definitely will be. He'll definitely be our next superstar.
Perfect. Any other little sneakies?
I reckon Asava could turn into something pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Give him another 3 years.
I think so. I think like Hawkey, reminds me a lot of Hawkey. He, you know, not struggled. He's just finding his way early on as a key forward, a big body. You know, he played against boys his whole life. Now he's against man. He's finding his way. Give him another year or two, a couple more pre-seasons. He's going to take the competition by storm.
Nice.
And you didn't mention anyone, Cameron? Not going to bring up your man? Or
I'll get slapped down by you two for saying Nakia Cockatoo.
No.
Constable.
Correct. Chuka.
He needs to just play for now. I won't jump too
VFL.
quick. Oh, Scotland. If I could reach through that computer, you'd be in a world of trouble. Stokesy.
Oh.
This is from Josh Macker, 1234. What was the biggest highlight of your career?
Resigning from the zoo, I reckon, was probably the highlight of my career. I missed out on the draft for 3 years. I'd spoken to Wellesley. I pretty much gave up on my dream of playing AFL footy. I was working at the Adelaide Zoo, and the story is well documented. I spoke to Wellesley the night before the draft, and he asked me not to tell anyone that we've spoken to Geelong. Cam Thurley just walked out of the club, went to Northern Melbourne, so there was a spot on the list. And Wellesley, I was in chats with both the Crows and Power, and Wellesley just asked me if I could just keep it quiet. And the next day, Ron Watt called me and said I was on the way to Geelong, and you know I had no idea anything about the history of Geelong, the place, the players. Only knew Gary Abbott Senior. 3 days later, I was off to Geelong. But resigning and going to live out my childhood dream, which I thought it passed me by a little bit, was probably the most rewarding, not only for me, but my mum and dad. Mum and dad moved from Darwin to Adelaide to help me transition and get my life in order a little bit. And to be able to see the joy in their faces, was a pretty good highlight. But, you know, the 07 granny was pretty special too.
How close were you with the Power and Crows? Had they said we're going to take you, Stokesy, or?
Well, Choco Williams said he's going to take me a few times. Obviously, my sister was married to Peter Burgoyne, so I had a pretty good relationship with Choco. And he had told me a few times he was going to draft me, and told my sister that they were going to take me. But I've heard that before as well in the few years leading into it. So I was pretty close to going to the Crows and Port that year, I think. Probably on a rookie list, I would have thought. So I don't think I owe so much to Geelong for taking me, because it's changed my whole life. You know, to go right away from where my sister and all my friends, I started a life there, to be able to come to a new place, you know, without coming to Geelong, I would never have been in the successful period as I was. Never have met my lovely partner and have the 2 kids. So, you know, Geelong's given me so much.
And we've loved everything that you've given too, Stokesy. I do remember you won the group over very early on with your hard work and your passion. And then I can still remember you winning the fans over in a hurry with that just desperation to win and help the team. So I think we're all happy it went in that direction. Well, last one for you, Stokesy, before we do have to take a break, and we're going to be chatting with Billy Brownless after the break. From Finley, will Stokesy ever bring back the stash? You kind of got a little half a, if you just shaved around the chin, you'd be right.
Well, I'm Filipino, Cameron, as you know. And the Filipinos, we can grow it really good around here. But if you go to the side, it's patchy out. So the mow I can grow within 2 days. I'm unemployed at the moment with the stand down. Like you, Scott Gullan, I've got no one to impress. So I'm just living my greatest life at the moment. Yeah. So once
let it breathe, Stokesy, let it breathe.
Once we go back to work, I'll better get rid of it. Cookie's never been a fan of the mow. So
so next week's podcast, I want a nice thick mow. Yeah. Does Amelia like the mow, or she'll get angry at you?
Nah, she doesn't care at the moment. She's probably had enough of me, to be honest, being home for last month. She enjoys it. She enjoys it.
Excellent. Thank you to all those people with the questions. Keep them coming in. We'll try and get to as many as we can over the coming weeks as we count down the days until the footy comes back. We are going to take a break because Billy Brownless, the king of Geelong, is going to join us next. Jordan Clark's also coming up a little bit later on. We're going to ring him. He's back in WA, so we'll annoy him from his home in WA. Let's take a break, and Billy's up next. Welcome back. Great to have you with us on to the final bell, brought to you by Panther Tyres. Love the great support of Panther Tyres for this podcast. And our next guest, the king of Geelong. I was just replaying to the boys when you kicked the 94 qualifying final. What the hell were the Bulldogs doing, Scotty? They left all sorts of space in that forward line. And the great Billy Brownless led out and took the mark. And Bill, you are king of Geelong. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you, Linger. Great to be with you and Stokesy and Scotty. And, to be honest, mate, when you won that premiership and you put on the mayor robes, I think you were king of Geelong.
Just for a day, Bill. Just for a day, and then I handed it back to you.
How are we going? All good, boys? This isolation's fun, isn't
it? How are you coping?
I've been to the fridge a lot. I just walk to the fridge. I don't know why, and open it and eat or drink. So I've nearly had enough of that. And I've got the boys with me, Oscar and Max, at the minute. So we've got the golf chipping range out at the minute, and then some putting holes. And then we went down to the oval at Gould there. The little had a hit in the nets. And we took the tennis racket down and hitting high in the air and taking some catches. And then we've come up with a new game where you go into the nets with the tennis racket and the tennis ball, and you serve to the batsman until they come through nice and quick and bounce you. They're very good. It's actually good for your reflexes.
You might be the king of Geelong, Coco, but you're not the king of technology. How are you travelling with all this technology part?
It annoys me. Stoker, to be honest. Whatever this is, what are we on, Zoom or whatever it is? It's just a bit hard to get used to, yeah.
How's Oscar handling it, Bill?
He's been all right. He went up and lived with his sister for a while, Lucy, who goes out with Paddy McCartan. So they were training together. And Oscar said
he's resurrected him.
Well, that's what Oscar said. He was going all right, mate. He was, Oscar had a program, and he said Paddy was, wasn't with him, but running in behind him. And then they had the weight session out the back and things like that. Now they've come down here, and I think he went down and caught up with Joel the other day for a bit of a run, and he's just gone for one now. Unfortunately, I had this podcast, I would have gone.
Hey, you mentioned quickly on Paddy McCartan, Bill. I read he's feeling good and wants to come back and play wherever that may be. Yeah. I'm certain you'll be on the recruit big time, won't you?
Well,
Paddy.
He's a good boy. They live up in Melbourne, but he's down here a lot. As you know, Linger, he's a good Geelong boy, and he's down here with his parents and comes down a bit down to Geelong. He's running again. He used to run and get headaches, and so that's all cleared up. So he's running, and he's doing a bit of ball work and some weights, and he's feeling a lot better. So, it'll take a while for the big fella to get fit, but who knows, maybe next year, if we do play and win. But yeah, he could be all right, the big Paddy, because he's not tied with St Kilda anymore, so he can go to any club.
I like the sound of that, Bill. Now, we're going to get to some serious stuff and reminisce about your wonderful days, but tell us a little bit. How did you actually go surviving in the jungle, mate? You know, we've seen behind you there's some zebra wine holders and giraffes and everything going on. How'd you get through it?
Well, it's a bit like now, actually. Isolation, but it was a lot worse. We're only in a little campsite. It was a lot littler than it looked on telly, let me tell you. Our beds are all there, so we had to sleep virtually next to each other, and that's what you worry about, snoring and you know, things like that.
Now, come on, Bill, though. Is that all just for the cameras and then they take you to some luxury motel and three-course meals? Come on.
Well, that's what people try and tell me, and then they said it was filmed out the back of Werribee. Let me tell you, it wasn't filmed out the back of Werribee. I went to Johannesburg and then caught a plane somewhere for an hour and got to the whatever it's called, the Great Jungle there. Should know. Anyway,
Kruger National Park.
No, Kruger. That's it, Kruger National Park. And then we drove into the deep jungle where. It was like a circus marquee over the top. The beds were like those army-style beds. They were very hard to sleep on. The food is exactly what you saw. Thank God we had Miguel there to cook up something at night, but the breakfast and lunch was terrible, and you had nothing to do. So it was a lot like now, actually.
Didn't they let Warnie walk out and have a dart?
I think that's what I heard, Warnie. Well, he's special, of course, Warnie, so he could have a dart, and I think he had a few darts, by the way. And also, I think he ordered a pizza now and then. He might have got a pizza delivered, but let me tell you, we got nothing like that. It was nothing like that. So it was hard. It was tough.
Well, what's the difference, Bill? Because I've got some inside knowledge of what contains in your fridge, and I've heard that it consists of nothing but barbecue sauce, mint jelly, butter, and beers.
Well, I do love barbecue sauce. You can have it on anything. You can have it on steak. You can have it on sausages, Cocoa Pops. So I do like butter, the old-fashioned butter. I like plenty of it. You got to have a beer in these times, and there's ice cream too, because I do like ice cream.
Just in these times, Bill?
Is that where Stevie J got it from? Is it?
No, well, Stevie probably. Well, he's a bit chubby too, like yourself, Stoker, actually. So. But you got to have stuff in there you're going to eat, or no good having grapes and oranges and apples or whatever, because I'm not going to eat them.
Hey, Bill, you know what I've loved most about this pause in the footy season and this isolation and all that? It's a chance where us former players can all just talk about our glory days, how good we are. There's no new players and new games to take all the spotlight off us. And doing a little bit of research, and I came across this little fact. It is 20 years since Billy Brownless got back-to-back 3-vote games in 1990. Fantastic effort. However, the little add-on bit was Gary Ablett Sr. kicked 17 goals over those 2 weeks and didn't get a vote, while you got 6 votes. How the hell did that happen?
Sucked in, Gazza. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how. You know what happened back then? I was playing at centre-half back. Blighty moved me to centre-half back. One of the great half-back lines of all time in the Geelong Footy Club. You had Ken Hinkley, who picked up no one. You had myself, who picked up no one. And you had poor old Tim McGrath, who had to pick up 3 blokes. but he let me play. I just used to take a few marks, read the play all right, and I got plenty of possessions. I was taking marks. I was getting a few little easy kicks. I was loving it down back. And I think it was the year I nearly won the Brownlow, by the way.
With how many votes? 3?
I reckon I got
6.
12 or 14. Have a look. You have a look at the Brownlow 1990. I think Tom Liberatore, what's his name? Tony Liberatore won it with only 16 or 18 votes.
Oh, really?
And I was about 4th, but I didn't get invited. And I was on Hamilton Island at the Barefoot Bar, having a few frothies, of course. And I didn't know I actually went that well for 2 days, because it takes a day for the Herald Sun to get up to Hamilton Island back then. So I didn't know how well I went. We didn't have phones. So But yeah, have a look at that. Look that up.
What
Scotty.
year?
I've done a
1990.
quick
He won with 18.
Google. He won with 18, but however, they've only
You
got
had
the
12.
top
No, you got 12.
12 votes.
12.
So you were second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, equal seventh with Stewie Lowe.
Oh, well, there you go. I knew I was equal something. That's all right. But
Well, I'll give you another pump up on this day in 1991, Bill.
oh, crikey.
On this day in 1991, Billy kicked 11 goals and had 27 touches against the Bears.
Jeez.
Just talk that one up for us, Bill.
Well, I did see that one come through on the Geelong Cats. They put up some good stuff, actually. Very, very good stuff. Well done to Tommy Peters and whoever else does it. But that was just one of those days out. It was the old Gabba. It was at the Gabba, the old Gabba. It used to have a dog track around it. It was a very small ground. Bears weren't going that well. And I kicked 11 goals, 4 or something from centre forward. Just had a good day out. But believe it or not, speaking of Brownlow votes, I got 2.
Who got the 3?
Damien Burke in the ruck got 3 votes that day in the Brownlow. But and believe this or not, boys, it's still a record for the most amount of goals at the Gabba. And they've had who? Fev up there. They've had Alistair Lynch, Jonathan Brown. They've had everyone up there at the Gabba. It's still the most goals at the Gabba. And even now when I go there working with the media, I go to walk in and the kid's selling the record out the front and he goes, "You want a record?" I go, "Nah, mate, I've already got it here."
Yes.
Too good.
This is the Brisbane Bears that year, Bill. Sorry, I've just done a quick thing. They ended up going 3-19 for the year, so it was good opposition, though.
Well, not really. And it was a small ground, the old dog. I still remember me and Barry Stoneham went out that night and we missed our flight.
Now, Bill, I hear some feedback. You weren't happy with the top 20? You missed?
I haven't seen it, Scotty. What happened?
No, Jay Clark was saying Billy's blown up. I'm like, very nervous this morning.
No, all good, cock. It was very hard, those lists. Everyone's doing lists. We're nearly over lists, to be honest.
Oh, no, we've run out. We've run out.
Yeah, run out of stuff to do. But very interesting. I was surprised. Who put up their list and had Gary Ablett Senior at 9 and Junior at 18 or something too, by the way.
Well, that was Carey, wasn't it? Was that the
Carey? Wayne Carey. Yeah, Gary Ablett Senior at 9 and Junior at 19. But the only one I was surprised about, Barry Stoneham, who I thought was a very, very good player in our day. He could have nearly made that top 20.
Scotty. No, he was in mine. He got in.
Was he? Well,
from your era. That's how you looked at it.
Billy, Scotty's told about 15 blokes they were the 21st player.
Yeah.
Come on, Cameron.
Who was the 21st, Scotty?
Harold Taylor and I get in trouble for leaving him out. Harry.
Kenny Hinkley was 22, wasn't he?
Yeah, they were the 2.
For old Kenneth. Oh, he was a good player.
Years.
I remember he come down from Camperdown. He'd play in the reserves early days, in the reserves. We'd all get there earlier to watch him play. Some of the things he did in the reserves, he'd play on the half-back flank. He'd take a hanger, land on his feet, have 3 bounces, kick a goal. We used to get there early to watch him. It was unbelievable early.
He should have won a Brownlow. I think Peter Worsfold for the Bears broke his jaw in a game and he'd had 15 touches, I reckon, in the first quarter. He was on his way to 3 votes and lost the Brownlow that year by 2 votes. He should have won one. That always annoyed me. Hinkley, yeah.
Oh, he was flying.
Mate, I'll tell you, should have won a Brownlow. Speaking of the good old days, Buddha Hocking. Now, there's a bloody good player. Geez, he was tough and hard, as we all know, but his skills were unbelievable. He used to play with half a knee and, mate, he should have won a Brownlow.
Left and right foot, he was amazing, both sides, wasn't he?
He was. And tough. Geez, he was tough.
They were in the days where taggers could get away with a little bit more too. They'd dish it out to Buddha and Couchy and that, wouldn't they?
Oh, yeah. And Couchy the same, mate. He did obviously win a Brownlow. But, mate, he's a fat little thing and he couldn't run off the end of Cunningham Pier, to be honest. But, mate, they'd belt him. They would line up and belt him. He'd just get up and giggle and jog off. And I loved playing with him. He was him and Bairstow, Buddha Hocking. Bairstow was a good player. Poor old Toby, Matera kicked 5 on him, had a day out, but in the granny. But, geez, he was a great leader. He was a great leader back then in the good old days. Is Stokesy there or has he gone to have a cuppa?
Nah, I'm listening to you talk absolute rubbish, Bill.
I thought Stokesy was being very gentle on you at the moment, Bill. I was waiting for him to unleash.
He was trying to get some stuff off me, but there's a couple of things. He's been banned from a couple of pubs, but we can't go into that.
How is there's no business at the moment, Bill? You're a publican. You've got the Cremorne. You've also got Macelleria. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's how you say it, actually. Well said. Down on the waterfront. That's upstairs there. And, it's bloody tough. Well, it's tough because you've got to stand down all your workers, and that's a hard thing because a lot of them, obviously, they need to work and they need the money and things like that. So we stood them all down. The JobKeeper thing from the government is very good. So we're just working through that at the minute. But it'd just be nice to go down and have a beer with a few mates, sit there, have a punt if you want to. You don't have to, of course, bet responsibly, but all that. But just to sit around and have a bit of fun and have a chat,
And all your cashies are gone too, Billy. That would hurt you as well.
Ooh, everything's gone, Stoke. Everything's gone, mate. None of that, my friend. Tell you what, they all want these free bloody videos for birthdays. I don't know who's got onto that, but they send them through on your direct or DMs or whatever it is, which with a few other things. But they all want the freebie birthday wishes. That's a big thing at the minute.
Outstanding, Bill. Outstanding.
No, we're going to pump up Pato at Panther Tyres. He's a good man. He's just come on board.
So he's a good mate of yours, isn't he? Is that right?
Yeah, Pato's been around for a while, and he's just joined up at the footy club this year. He's got his kids, so he's getting involved with the club. And he's got the Panther Tyres, so he's a good man, old Pato.
Well, we've appreciated his support, staying on with this podcast, the amount of rubbish we speak. He had every right to jump off after episode 1. But they've stuck strong with us. Stokesy's been modelling the Panther Tyres gear each week.
That'd be good.
Unfortunately, where is it this week, Stokesy?
It's in the wash this week. Actually, I actually had too many Easter eggs over the weekend, so it doesn't fit me. So I'll send it over to you, Bill. You can model it next week.
Yeah, you got a few chins there, Stoker. What's happening?
Hey, Bill, I'm Asian.
What, half Asian, half. Has there any other Asian footballers played with the Cats?
No, I don't think so. Well, I'm Filipino.
Scotty?
No, I don't think there has.
What do you reckon? What do you reckon my last name is, Bill?
Rock Ling. Actually, you should be Stokes and Ling. Stokesy should be Ling. But that is true, isn't it?
I think that's true.
Yeah, Stokes, that's a good
No,
effort,
well, there you go, Scotty. Why don't you do a list of the best Asian footballers?
Yeah.
I might make one.
No, I think you T. Bell and you and
who else is there?
who else? There's the Bulldogs guy,
Ling John.
Ling John.
Yeah,
He's had concussion issues too, hasn't he, Scotty?
He's always injured.
Yeah,
Probably.
it's a shame. Bill, we're going to have to leave you be and let you go because, we love chatting with you, but we do have Jordan Clark coming up very, very soon for a chat.
He'll run you through his hat trick he got that buddy against Pakistan or something after. They were, I reckon, none for 348.
Bill, always great to chat, mate. Stay safe. Good luck.
Good on you, boys. I've worked this out. Zoom thing now. I've worked it out.
You're a good man, Bill. As I said, Jordan Clark is coming up next. We'll take a break and we'll have a chat with Clarkie.
See you, Bill.
We are back on to the final bell. Brought to you by Panther Tyres. I've got Scotty Gullan and Matty Stokes with me. Great chat with Billy Brownless there, but we've pushed him aside because we want to talk to one of the young stars of the Geelong Cats and certainly one of Stokes' favourite, Jordan Clark. Clarkie, great to have you on with us.
Thanks for having me. Second appearance.
Back in WA, is that correct? So we apologise for getting you up a little bit early.
Back in WA, so quite an early one. Thanks, Lingy.
Yeah, the producer just realised that, Clarkie, didn't he? Just then. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
What is it? 6:30? What is it?
No,
7?
it's a good question. I don't actually know. 2 hours behind you.
2 hours, so it's 8:30 in the morning. Really not that early, Clarkie.
Oh, it's pretty early for me.
You've taken to this isolation thing. You don't mind sleeping in a bit and just taking it pretty easy?
Yeah, I've been rising around 10:30, 11, so I've been taking it pretty seriously.
Where are you isolating, Jordan? Where do we find you?
No, in Perth, so in South Perth, and just with mum and dad at their house. So, got all the siblings around, and it's a full house of 7, so pretty busy. It's not really isolating. A bit going on.
Are you just wondering what this whole AFL footy caper is? I mean, from what I've heard, no pre-season last year, but that didn't stop you. You had a remarkable first season. And then you do a pre-season, but no season. Thinking, what's with footy? You just like a nice, normal run at things.
Yeah, no, it's a bit strange, this period. But, no, that's correct. First pre-season just gone. And, I quite enjoyed it to get one out of the way for once. And, not just to not play footy at the end of it's been a bit weird. But hopefully, fingers crossed, we play some footy pretty soon.
Hey, Geordie Clark, what's your day consisting of these days over there? And be honest with us, it's only just us four. So just give us a bit of a rundown of what your day looks like.
So like I said, it's early morning rise around 10:30, 11. Have a bit of brekkie, coffee, put my shoes on, go for a run, do the program that I've been sent. Come home around just after midday, get on the PlayStation, have a fair stint on there for about maybe 3 or 4 hours.
What's the game of choice?
Fortnite at the moment. And then obviously when my brothers get home from work, maybe go have a kick if they're up for it, or if not, go for a kick with a mate or go for a run with a mate in the afternoon as well. So still trying to keep pretty active along with sitting on the PlayStation.
Are you surprised by any of that, Stokes? Yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh, I would like to know what your dietary requirements are at the moment. What are you eating at the moment?
I knew this would come. Stokes is always on to me about my diet, my skin folds, and my diet's very good.
Your nickname is Fat Boy Slim. So how do you get that? How do you get that nickname?
Well, it's pretty simple. The last word of that nickname is Slim. So, I used to have pretty high skin folds, and hopefully don't anymore. When I get back, we'll find out. But I used to have high skin folds, and Stokes used to, just get into me about it, which, as Stokesy does, likes to get into people about it. Probably one shouldn't be throwing stones. Look at him.
Yes. I'm glad you said it. I was about to.
What was your vice, Jordan? What was the dietary thing that was the major issue?
Oh, probably the whole lot. To be honest, probably wasn't much good in it, to be fair. So had to do a big revamp of the diet with the dietitian. So, it's turned a big corner, that's for sure.
Marky, I think Stokesy feels a bond with you. As you mentioned, he doesn't mind dishing it out a little bit on the verbal stakes. He thinks you're pretty good at it, though. The term acid tongue may or may not have been used about you. Is that you're pretty quick to unleash on a couple of teammates or perhaps some opposition?
No, I wouldn't say teammates, but I do like to
change rooms.
Yeah. No, that's probably fair, Stokesy. I
think it is.
It's probably the cricketing background in me. Just I like to have a bit of a chat here and there, and it just comes out, and hopefully none of the boys take offence to it. But that's just how I play. I was probably, to be fair, probably worse on the cricket field because half the time you're sitting in the field boring, so you need to make something of it. On the footy field, you're out of breath, so it's pretty hard to talk. So,
who's your number one target at the club, Clark?
Number one target.
Who gives you the most ammunition to get?
Probably Krugs. Krugs is an easy target. Leaves himself wide open most of the time. So.
Yeah.
I don't mind going for the housemate, Jacob Kenley, at the moment. I just like when I'm standing on the mark when he's got the ball, like just abusing him. So, and then he always comes up to me after and we have a chat about it. I just said, I was just trying to put you off, mate. But no, Kenners and Krugs. Krugs probably the main one. He's always leaves you with plenty of material to get into him and get under his skin. So
I've heard you don't discriminate either. Young player or more experienced, perhaps even Brownlow medalists. You don't mind dishing it out to the old Danger as well.
Oh yeah, I have a pretty good relationship with Danger. Obviously, you can have a joke with him most of the time. So, no, he's quite a. Yeah, I don't mind dishing out to Danger. He's pretty good at giving it back too. So, no, I enjoy that.
On a serious note, tell us, coming into this season, only one game down, obviously, but whenever it may restart, what did you learn from last year that you're aiming to put into this year? Just so our listeners, they loved you last year, they can get a little bit excited about what they might see from your game this season.
Yeah, obviously a big one was probably my consistency throughout the whole year. Obviously started the year pretty well, or all right, and then probably finished up, barring injury, probably a bit inconsistent and not getting involved as much as I did earlier on in the year. So that's probably one that I've tried to work on, but you can't really work on it until the games are back and playing footy. But obviously just getting that pre-season under my belt as well, getting that workload in and knowing what it takes to play at the top level, and then obviously just fixing the little things like my diet and getting the skin folds down as well. So yeah, just those little things. So that's probably been my main focus over the break or the pre-season, was to get those little things right, and hopefully the rest will take care of itself.
I think, Clarkie, you coming into the club, or when I first walked in last year in December, you had just got drafted. A lot of players come into a club or the industry itself and are kind of a little bit like robots, because that's the way they're sort of being brought up through the pathways. You've come in and you naturally yourself, you play footy the way you are off the field. You just do what you do best, and sometimes that's talk crap, and also sometimes it's dominating the field. Do you feel any pressure to be anything outside of who you are, or did you come in quite comfortable with who you are and what you can do on the footy field to be able to produce what you've been able to do?
No, yeah, just came in and obviously just let my footy do the talking, really. Just, I don't really feel any pressure to perform or be anyone else apart from who I am. I've had probably some very good mentors along the way throughout the cricket pathway as well, which, they've always just drilled into me, be yourself. You don't have to be this, you don't have to that. Don't try and be what you're not, basically. So I've had some pretty good mentors along the way, and yeah, I just try and be myself, and hopefully the rest, takes care of itself.
With the cricket, Jordan, who'd you play like or model yourself? What sort of player were you? Who were you going to be?
No, I was the last picked, so I was just the 12th man, ran the drinks. No, I don't really want to. No, I was a bowler, so
bowler,
opening bowler, and I used to think I was, but no, probably not anymore.
Pat
Couldn't
Cummins
bowl now.
style or
Mathew?
No, I don't know to label myself. I'm the bloke that took wickets, but also went for a lot of runs. So, me.
So very Brett Lee-like.
No, I'm not gonna agree with you, Stokes. I'm not falling for your trap, mate.
No traps here, mate. No traps.
Did you have I know you've been asked this before. What speed were you bowling at? How quick were you?
Oh, to be honest, I'd only been ever clocked once, and I was real young. I can't really remember. I think my fast ball has been about 130. I think I was 16 at that point. And then, obviously played my last year of cricket in year 12 and then gave it away. So
that's very similar speeds to what we face in the competition I play in, Scotty. The 130s, maybe mid to high 130s are the opening bowlers. So
is this the one you beat up on 70-year-old blokes and haven't been dismissed for 4 years, Cameron?
Well, I think the average this year was now it was a shortened season because of this virus. We didn't get to play finals, but I think I averaged 375 this year. So it was facing the likes of Jordan Clark and that sort of speed. So don't ever be disrespectful to that comp, Scotland.
No, I am, Cameron. Believe me, I am. Who tries to take you on in the change rooms, Geordie? If they would have got word that you could play a bit of cricket, who had Stokesy like to take you on? Who fronts up and says, "All right, I'll take you on."
No, there's a few of them. They obviously there's a new recruit, Cam Teeny. He's obviously a pretty handy cricketer. He likes to. We've had a few battles, but he's a left arm sort of bowler, and that's about it. Where it ends for him, he can't really bat too much. Thought I'd throw that in there if he's going to watch this. But there's a few of them. Gal loves getting in there. Joel the skip loves getting in there sometimes. Nige Lappin.
Joel is the worst cricketer I've ever seen. Is he still that bad?
You can hold the bat, put it that way.
You can stand the right side. That's
all
okay.
sports sell. Only good at footy. Just for our listeners, can you quickly tick off elbows 100%?
Yeah, elbows 100%. Took a while to get back to 100%. Probably even through the later end of the preseason, wasn't quite at 100%, but it was ready to go. So just getting the strength back through it was a big thing, and that was a real slow process. But no, it's 100% now.
Excellent.
Who were you taking the hanger on at training? Wasn't it how it happened?
Yeah. I marked it too. No, it wasn't quite a hanger. It was just marked the ball in front of Zach Smith, and Big Smithy took me out, and that was curtains for the season there. Probably did me a favour.
Is that the real reason why they got rid of Smithy?
No.
Well, good news that the elbow is feeling 100%. We can't wait to see you playing again. Stokesy, would you like to leave him with anything? Just a little parting shot before he goes back to a bit of PlayStation time?
Look, I don't really have a lot of time on my hands when this all finished, so please don't put too much weight on so we have to be in the heat room and the sauna together. I just really can't be bothered doing half an hour walks with you to make you lose your weight.
I'll try not to. I'm happy to find someone else if you don't, Stokesy. But
fantastic.
No, I won't come back as big as you. That's for sure. No.
Not bad, Clarky, not bad.
Clarky, you've made our day. Fantastic to have you on the podcast. All the best with everything. As I said, can't wait to see you running around again in round 2, whenever that may be. But enjoy your time in Perth. Enjoy the family time, and we'll catch up again soon. Thanks for your time.
No worries, guys. Thanks for having me.
Take care, Bart.
Great to chat with Jordan Clark there. Great to chat with Billy Brownless. Thank you all for listening to the Cats podcast, to the final bell, and big thanks to Panther Tyres again. Keep your questions coming in. We absolutely love it. We'll be back again next week. Not sure who our guests are, but so far the bar has been set very high, Scotty. We've had some good ones.
This is elite level. Isolation. Access.
Absolutely. You stay safe too, Scotty. Stokesy, make sure now you've thrown the gauntlet down to Clarky, just make sure you keep your skinnies under control as well.
I'm not a professional athlete anymore, Cameron.
Exactly.
Stay safe, mate. All the best.
See you, boys.